Hello and a warm welcome to John News Prime. Top in the bulletin, former President Mahama says he will scrap the 50% increase in communication service tax if he assumes office. Also in this package, the coalition of aggrieved customers of gold dealership firm Menzgold demand payment to all customers in full before end of year 2019. This comes as officials of the company released a payment schedule indicating all arrears to customers will be paid within 3 years.
Menzgold should meet customers' leadership and disclose the total number of validated customers and the cash at hand, and pay all customers on 27th December.
And coming up in business,
Sentio Steel Manufacturing's case closure after the over 9.2 million CD customs debt. We have details from a debt distress action by the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Tree Steel Limited, they owe about 9.2 million. Fortunately for us, they have issued a check to cover the entire amount.
And later in the bulletin, Chief Justice nominee Justice Eniniebua reveals his nomination was proposed by the Ghana Bar Association to the President. His nomination was met with criticism, with some suggesting his political affiliation influenced the decision of the President.
The Bar can propose you. That was proposed by the Bar.
And later in the bulletin, GOAT read it heard at the Chief Justice's vetting today. Will Justice Eniniebua accept GOAT as a gift?
Mr. Chairman, I know honorable member very well. If he gives me a GOAT, I will take it.
My name is Ernest Min, and John News Prime comes to you live from the John News Studios at Kukumlemle here in Accra with digital address GA0992539. Stay with us. Hello again, thank you very much for joining us. In our first story, Chief Justice nominee Justice Eniniebua has for the first time revealed he was proposed by the Ghana Bar Association to the President for nomination as Chief Justice of the Apex Court. His nomination was met with criticism, with some suggesting that his political affiliation influenced the decision of the President. But addressing the issue before the Appointments Committee of Parliament, Justice Eniniebua said he never applied for the job. Now, listen to the interaction between him and a member of the committee, Dr. Bernice Adikuhelu.
Madam, I've never, sorry, Mr. Chairman, although apologies to honorable member, I have not looked at the Kenyan example which the honorable member is citing. But then here is our constitution. And we went to referendum and adopted it. I think if we want to change it, we should resort to the procedure and change it. But then what happens is that in respect, as regards the other judges, please, the Bar can propose you. That was proposed by the Bar. Yes. I never applied. My Lord. There are so many people who didn't apply. My Lord.
Justice Eniniebua also touched on the issue of access to the courts. According to him, government has to invest in the building of more court buildings to reduce the workload on judges so as to increase the urgency with which they treat cases.
They don't waste time. Some of them can even go to the court and even go to the farm thereafter, because we have a problem. When you even pass the Kumasi Road, you will leave a Jabin, which I think was recently closed down. The next place you can see a court is Amasamai. And look at the population in between. Urbanization brings with it petty larceny, maintenance, and paternity issues, and all these things, and they all come to court for redress. And mind you, Ghanaians are litigious. No two ways. We will want the judge or magistrate to decide the case for us.
Now, when asked whether he would have difficulties at all working with Supreme Court judges, the Supreme Court Judge Justice Lovelace Johnson, who is his ex-wife, he said they are both professionals and as such did not expect any issues. Justice Lovelace Johnson was among the three new Supreme Court judges appointed to the Apex Court by the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in December 2019.
Your ex-wife, her ladyship Avril, will be on the bench with you. Do you foresee any professional dilemmas? Just that.
Mr. Chairman, no, we are.
Yeah. You tell us. But we want our women.
Allow him to answer.
Me?
Regulate how people ask questions here.
Why? But we want
Lord,
women.
do you foresee any dilemmas?
Do you foresee any dilemmas? This is a simple one. And I want women to have opportunity.
Mr. Chairman, with due respect, no. Yes, we are professionals. Yes.
Now, away from the CJ nominee, the coalition of aggrieved customers of gold dealership firm Menzgold are demanding the defunct gold dealership firm pays all customers in full before the end of year 2019. It comes as officials of the company released a payment schedule indicating all arrears to customers will be paid within 3 years. But the customers have expressed skepticism about the defunct firm's payment schedule announced last week. Now, speaking at a press briefing in Accra, chairman of the aggrieved customers, Timothy Benob, demanded that Menzgold withdraws the current payment plan before the year ends.
Toboy! Toboy! Our money! Our money! Yesika!
The aggrieved customers clad in red bands were fired up. Well, their reasons, Menzgold on December 15 asked leadership of customers group to solicit inputs from disgruntled members aimed at working on modalities to pay back its investors. This was followed last week by a payment schedule and formula to pay customers from December 27 within a period of 3 years. The group describes the plan as bleak.
Namuan's mode and payment plan that came out is a fallacy to us. It's untrue. We don't trust it. That payment plan has no timelines. If he says he's going to pay on 27th, when is he ending it? And when is he paying the rest of the customers? Namuan said he's going to pay us within 3 years. We have already spent 1 year in the house. When you add that 1 year to the 3 years, almost 5 years. It is very bad. It is wickedness. It is heartless.
What we are seeking to do today is to tell and appear that the payment plan that he brought out is just a sham.
They, however, want a transparent payment roadmap drawn and demand all customers are paid by end of year.
Menzgold should meet customers' leadership and disclose the total number of validated customers and the cash at hand and pay all customers on 27th December. Menzgold should reach an agreement with leadership and pay the cash at hand to every customer who went through the validation so that every customer will receive a part of their principal investment before Christmas 2019.
We are not accepting the 3 years. We should review the payment plan. Every customer is a customer. If number one is paying, he should pay everyone at the first stance of the payment, 27th. That is what we expect from him. So he has refused to meet customers' leadership because he has already decided that he will bring anything at all for us. We are not children. Just that we didn't want to mind him. We have given him time because we know what business is. Now, we are fed up with him. For any reason, we'll make sure that we'll go after him for our money. We are petitioning him today as well. And we want him to go by the petition. He should review his payment plan, make sure that all customers are captured. And payments start on the 27th, as he said. And he said his lawyer has already come, brought out a disclaimer that he doesn't have any capacity to do what? To handle the situation or to pay customers. If he tells us that it is a third party that is going to pay, he should let us know who is that third party. We want all customers paid. We want to know that a third party. We want all customers paid across board. And we also want to know that third party. And we want leadership to be part of the payment.
Other aggrieved customers spoke to Joy News, registering their displeasure.
He knows after validation, customers are anxious to hear from him. So he will just bring something out to appease customers. But this is not what we wanted. And this is not the promise and the agreement we had with him on the 10th of September. He told us that after validation, he will meet leadership and then sit down with us, take our input, and factor all those things into the payment plan and the models of payment. All of a sudden, you didn't contact us. We wrote to you on several occasions. I sent a letter to NAM1's office on twice occasions. Okay? You didn't reply the letter, and then you just came out to say you are paying. You, after validation, we don't know the number of customers validated. We don't know the amount at hand. And then you say, I'm going to pay those who invested in September and those who have not received dividends before.
Now we're joined in the studio by the Vice Chairman of the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of Menzgold, Isaac Nyako. Isaac, thank you very much for joining us here on Joy News Prime. First of all, you say that you do not agree with the plan. You think that it's a sham. Have you seen the plan yourself?
Yes, I've seen it.
And you've seen the details?
Yes, I've seen the details. For me, it's a deception.
Why that?
Yeah, because the plan doesn't come up with any specifics. We don't have number of people who have been validated with the 0%, those who have been validated with the 10%. We don't have specifics, and we don't have timelines as to whether it's going to use
but for instance,
10 months, 1 month to settle those with 0%, or 2 months to settle them, and then the next 2 months for the next level. There's no specifics.
But he's indicated to you that he wants to do this in 3 years. And so starting the 27th, which is Friday, I think, is going to start with those who do not have values, any extra value. And that is the first timeline he's given you.
But that first timeline, how do we measure the number of people he's going to pay within that specific timeline?
No, but that's for him. That is for him
in 6 months, the next level of people he's supposed to start with are still waiting. How do we go back to him and say, we are waiting and you've not yet started with us? How many people have you validated with, paid with the 0%? We can't tell. We can't measure him.
Assuming that he comes out to say that since the 27th, I've been paying people with people without extra values, or customers who do not have extra values. As a coalition, are you able to determine? Do you have the data of the number of people who do not have extra values? Do you have all of that to fact check his claim?
No, we don't have. That's so funny.
So how do you then challenge it?
Exactly. That's the problem. Previously, we had the same situation with 15%. We could not tell the people he paid with the 15%. Later, names came up that those people have received the 15%. And the people came up to refute those numbers, that they've not been paid. The same situation. When other people may be called that, oh, they have received. How can we even ascertain that those people are genuine customers, that they are part of us and that they have been paid? You could create your own names that you will be calling. You said that the lawyer will advise. Even the lawyer tells you he doesn't have the capacity to do that work you've asked him to do. And these are all kind of deceptions that is ongoing.
Mr. Nyako, this has been running for some time now. And he's saying that be patient with me. I've gone through a lot. Already he's on trial. He wants you to give him the time to pay in 3 years. You want to meet him, and you're saying, yes, last week when I spoke to your spokesperson, Fred Forson, he tells me that you have sent a letter and that you want to meet him and help him to pay you. How do you intend to do that?
Exactly. We want to meet him with the sense that we want to make an input where we find how much money he has available, number of people that his validation process validated. Those who fall within the 0 bracket, we need to know the number. Those who fall within the 10% bracket, the 20%, then we will know all that. And then we'll come up with a proportion of percentage that we can say, okay, people have suffered for a very long time. So let's do like 20% or 30% across body. And then those who have 0%, maybe we can do maybe 60% for them. And then everybody will go home with something. But for 3 years, somebody will be sitting down not knowing what next. And this is the situation that we have at hand. And we believe this is a deception. And for that matter, we, leadership of aggrieved customers of Menzgold, want to take this up to a different level where we'll petition various diplomatic embassies, commissions in Ghana, and UN, other international bodies.
I'll come to you shortly.
For them to know what the government is doing.
Fortunately for us,
and it's not helping us.
We have the PRO for Menzgold, Nyama Matefio, on Skype with us to answer some of the questions that you have raised. Nyama, thank you very much for joining us here on Joy News Prime. The customers do not trust the schedule that you have put out there. For them, it lacks details, and you only give them a 27th timeline. They do not know when this will be exhausted. Yeah. How do you assure them that this will be done, and it will be done in a manner that you say will be done so that they can have their monies?
All right, thank you very much. And let me say a good evening to all your viewers, and then good evening to Samuel. I think that the statement that we put out on Wednesday is a statement that spelled out everything that we wanted to do in terms of how we want to pay our customers. There is no ambiguity in that statement. What we are saying is that from the 27th of December all the way to 36 months from the 27th of December, we should be able to pay all customers their monies fully. And then those who will start with are those that when they invested in the company, they did not get any extra value. We will start with those people. When we are done with those people, then we'll move to people who received 1 extra value. We'll move to 2 extra values, and then we'll get to the next one until we're able to finish with everybody. So there's no ambiguity at all in terms of the statement that we put out on Wednesday.
Can you help me with the dates? You say you start with those without extra values, then you move to 1 and then 2. We know that the first one starts on the 27th. When are the dates for the other customers?
Good. So if you look at the schedule that we put out, realize that the next one does not have a date. The reason is that as I speak to you now, the company Menzgold is not in operations. What it means that we are not exporting, we are not importing anything. What it also means that our banks, our account has been frozen. We cannot credit or debit anything. And we have money outside the shores of Ghana that we have to go and change and recover those monies. The monies that we are starting to pay those people from the 27th of December, if you could read the statement very well, you could say it says cash in hand. These are monies that we are able to generate internally. These are monies from friends. These are monies from lawyers. These are monies from family.
You're looking to be able to retrieve all those monies so that you can pay, but they want to meet you as soon as possible. Will you meet them? Are you willing to meet them?
But customers that we throw the challenge to them, we give them the opportunity to give us what they think in terms of the final payment schedule. They did not respond to us. They never.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me come to you, Mr. Nyako, in the studio. Your very final words. You didn't respond to his call.
No. We rather gave them a letter asking NAM1 to meet us. We submitted, I think 2 occasions we submitted a letter to NAM1 just to meet him so that we can have that dialogue, because we had a first dialogue with him and he said subsequently, before he comes out with a payment plan, he will involve us so we can make an input. But we were there, and then he was rather tweeting on his Instagram. Tweeting and sending messages on his Instagram pages, telling people when the payment plan will come out. And finally, he came out with something very deceitful.
All right, let's see how all of this pans out. Thank you very much for joining us. Isaac Nyako is Vice Chairman for the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of Menzgold. Let's do some other stories now. And former President John Mahama says he will scrap the 50% increase in communication service tax introduced by government should he be voted back to power. The increase in the CST from 6 to 9% generated public outcry, with many calling on government to scrap the tax due to its effect both on the cost of living and also on businesses. Mr. Mahama said this during an encounter with the media on Monday evening.
First 2 initiatives, I will abolish the 50% increase in communication services tax. It's a nuisance tax. Ghanaians are complaining about it. We need to encourage Ghanaians to be part of the digital economy and therefore overtaxing use of data and telecommunications is not the way to go. So that's the first one. The second one, I will drastically reduce the size of government. We don't need 125 ministers. I'll work with far less ministers. I already told the president that he should sack 40 of his ministers and close their ministries. I mean, you don't need a senior minister. You don't need a minister for business development. You don't need a minister for monetary and evaluation. You don't need a minister for procurement when there are so many procurement infractions. So drastically reduce the size of government and reduce the size of ministers, reduce the size of ministries, and also reduce the expenditure that Ghanaians spend on the office of the president. And so those are the immediate things that I will do.
Now, the CST will be one of 3 priorities when he assumes office. The other is education. Mr. Muhammad says he will complete all school projects he started to fix the problem of congestion in schools. Meanwhile, he clarified his earlier comment about reviewing the free SHS program, which government has interpreted as collapsing the program.
A review is to improve. Even the president, with the current implementation of free SHS, at a point in time, you need to review a policy and see if you are meeting the targets or not. And I believe that he can see that he's not meeting its targets. I mean, the congestion in the schools. I mean, recently a school went on demonstration because they say they can't take the congestion anymore. The reduction in contact...
Where was this?
Well, you are in the media. I'm sure if you Google, you'll find there's a school that demonstrated because they said they were over-congested and they couldn't take it anymore. I mean, the contact hours with teachers has gone down. I'm sure you've seen some of the media posts. There was a parent who said his child was moved from green to gold. They went to school. The first week was sports week. The second week was something. They started learning in about the 3rd week. And after 2... Oh, you did? And by the 4th week, they said they should go back home. Yeah. And they should come back in March or February or something. I mean, yeah, how are you going to expect a child like this with such few contact hours to be able to make it? And then aside from that, instead of improving the system, you go and buy past questions and distribute to children. This is the first government I've seen go buy past questions and distribute to children. And so when I say review, I mean to improve. And the first thing we'll do is to abolish the double track. We will fast track the completion of those schools, and we will spread out the children to some of the schools that are completed. There are a lot of projects that we started under the Secondary Educational Improvement Program. It's a World Bank project. And we're building additional dormitories and others. Those projects have all slowed. And so we'll fast track all those projects so that we can create more space in the schools for the children.
Let's stay with the NDC. Communications officer for the NDC, Sami Jemfi, is fighting off attempts by the police to investigate him of allegations of cybercrime leveled against him by the Jubilee House. Lawyers for Sami Jemfi have filed an application of interlocutory injunction at a high court in Accra, restraining the Attorney General and the Inspector General of Police from inviting their client or taking possession of his electronic devices for forensic investigations. Earlier today, a meeting between the Cybercrime Unit of the Criminal Investigations Department and the National Communications Officer of the NDC was rescheduled. The CID on the 19th of December invited Sami Jemfi over complaints made by the Jubilee House of an alleged cybercrime offense. But addressing the media, lawyer for Sami Jemfi, Victor Daudu, says his client will return to the police headquarters tomorrow. Nancy Emefa Dradosi was there and now reports.
Supporters massed up in front of the police headquarters Monday morning. Some of them held placards with inscriptions such as "Ghana is sitting on a time bomb" and "Do your worst, NDC is coming back to power," and mischanting. Around 10:35 a.m., some members of the NDC legal team and lawyer Victor Adaudu walked out of the premises of the police headquarters. Mr. Adaudu announced the meeting had been rescheduled.
We have responded to the invitation of Sami Jemfi. We've come to see the top echelon of the CID, and they have rescheduled the meeting to tomorrow at 11. They said because of some few circumstances, they will not be able to have the meeting. But we suspect and we know that because the president is coming here today, they don't want us to be here. So we have also agreed graciously that we will meet them tomorrow.
A few minutes later, the communications officer and the man being invited of allegations of cybercrime, Sami Jemfi, arrived. He told the supporters he was willing to honor every invitation by the police.
A police if what almost our friend say, "Member boa mo hwehwe mu." Ya jemradi, ya shemrase, enti yabase ya beboa omo. So mo say o ma ye busy ya betwen omo ye free a na yakọ na emwa omo pa free ha no. Ya de ama omo.
Also present was the women's organizer of the NDC, Hannah Bisu, who described the president as intolerant and vindictive as she accused him of engaging in political witch hunting against the NDC.
But it's political, it's witch hunting, it's vindictive. The president is an oppressor. What is Metina to Ghana is the only thing that he's delivering so well. He has to oppress, prosecute, if not to persecute his political opponent. That's exactly what it is. There's no 1, 2, 3 way about it. That is it.
Now joining us in the studio is Deputy Head of our Political Desk, Malik Dabo. He has a copy of the writ. Malik, what does it say? Run us through the details of the writ as you have it.
Okay, so Sami Jemfi is in court seeking two things. First, he wants an interlocutory injunction on the IGP and the Attorney General from pursuing him on matters relating to orders of the Kaneshie District Court. Now, what is contained in this Kaneshie District Court? The police, believing that Sami Jemfi has engaged in some cybercrime,
supporters
went to the Kaneshie District Court with an ex-party motion asking for orders to seize his phone and to have access to his Facebook account. Now, we have information that the police are accusing him of being behind a certain statement which was making rounds on social media. And this statement was allegedly written by the Executive Secretary to the President, Nana Santibedi, to address to the Chief of Staff in relation to some important matters in the nation. So because of that, the police went with an ex-party motion. An ex-party motion, the lawyers will explain to you, is a motion where you take to court and you do not inform the other party, i.e. the police go to court alone, asking the district court to give them orders that will allow them to seize his phone and to have access to the content thereof, and also to have access to his Facebook account without recourse to him. And the orders were granted by the district court. He's now at the High Court asking that these orders were granted in violation of his right to not have his communication interfered with, and he's quoting Article 18(2) of the Constitution, which says that no person shall have the privacy of their information or their communication or their home interfered with. He says, because this is a constitutional injunction, if you want to interfere with that, you ought to give him notice, and that the fact that they didn't give him notice was in violation of his right.
So for him, this cannot be done in an ex-party motion.
Absolutely. He wants to be given notice, so he wants the orders vacated by the High Court.
Malik, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed with details of that writ from the court. We have Sami Jemfi trying to reverse the decision made by the Kaneshie District Court there, and he says it's in violation of his rights. You're watching John News Prime with me, Anas Binu. We're taking a break. When we return, we have more stories. This holiday, many would binge drink alcohol, and that could lead to alcohol poisoning. I bring you some facts on alcohol poisoning. Now, a person has alcohol poisoning if they have consumed a toxic amount of alcohol, usually over a short period. Their blood alcohol level is so high it is considered toxic. The person can become extremely confused, unresponsive, disoriented, have shallow breathing, and can even pass out or go into coma. Now, alcohol poisoning can be life-threatening and usually requires urgent medical treatment. Binge drinking is a common cause of alcohol poisoning. However, it can also occur if somebody intentionally or unintentionally drinks alcohol-containing household product, and much less common. Alcohol poisoning is a significant medical condition. It requires immediate treatment if suspected. try to keep the individual awake, try to keep them in a sitting position, not lying down. If they do lie down, turn their head to the side if they can take it. Give them some water. If the person is unconscious, put them in the recovery position and check their breathing. Do not give them coffee or caffeine because that will worsen the dehydration, and do not lie them on their back. Do not give them any more alcohol to drink, not to make them walk. Now, just before we take leave of you, Chief Justice nominee Enini Yeboah says he will definitely not condone bribe taking within the judiciary, especially among judges under his watch. But there's a caveat, which is gift taking within the Ghanaian cultural contest. Listen to him respond to the question of whether or not he will take a goat as a gift.
Honorable member, I am talking of gift in the cultural sense. But if, as a judge, I am there and a corporate body comes from nowhere to certainly give me a hamper, it will raise some questions which I cannot answer. Obviously, I will not take it. And I know my colleagues will also do the same. Yes, because I don't know you. I can be your friend if you give me something. That would be in the cultural sense. But then, even with corporate bodies, if you take it, they're likely unacceptable. No, Honorable, Mr. Chairman, I know Honorable member very well. If he gives me a goat, I will take it. Oh yes, I know Honorable member Inusef Husseini very well. If he gives me a goat, yes, he as a lawyer knows that that goat is not going to influence me. I will take it because he's my friend. That will be the gift in the cultural sense. Thank you. Very well.
And that's it for Joy News Prime. There are more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com.